One of the most powerful strategies in the 48 Laws of Power is surprisingly simple. Never let people know what you're really planning. According to Robert Greene, the moment people understand your true intentions, they gain the ability to prepare a defense against them. They can resist you, they can sabotage you, they can compete with you. But if they have no idea what you're actually working towards, they cannot stop it. This is the essence of Law 3. Conceal your intentions. The goal is to operate quietly, almost like you're moving through smoke. People may see you moving, but they cannot clearly see where you're going. And when people cannot read your direction, they cannot organize against you. But following this law requires far more discipline than most people realize. Human nature pushes us to do the opposite. People love to talk about their plans. They love to tell others what they're building, what they're starting, and what they're going to accomplish. There's a certain excitement in sharing your ambitions. But the moment you start broadcasting your plans, you lose control over them. Because once other people hear what you're trying to do, they begin reacting to it. Some people will doubt you, some people will criticize you, some people will try to compete with you, and some people will simply try to trip you up along the way. Napoleon Hill once described this perfectly. He said that when you're running a marathon towards your goals, there will always be people standing on the sidelines who are not running themselves, but they are more than happy to stick their foot out and watch you trip and fall. Not because they're evil, but because people who are not moving forward often feel uncomfortable watching someone else move ahead. This is why maturity and discipline are critical when applying this law. You must learn to work quietly, to plan and build quietly, and to resist the urge to constantly explain yourself. Greene explains that the most effective strategists don't just hide their plans, they actively misdirect attention. They create red herrings. They allow people to believe they understand what's happening, when in reality, they are watching something completely irrelevant. You send signals that lead people down the wrong path. You allow them to focus on the wrong objective. By the time they realize what you are actually doing, it's already too late. One of the most powerful tools in this process is false sincerity. You appear open, you appear honest, you appear like someone who has nothing to hide. In fact, some of the greatest deceivers in history succeeded precisely because no one suspected them of the deception. They seemed genuine, they seemed trustworthy, and that illusion allowed them to operate in the shadows. Another technique Greene describes is sending ambiguous signals. If your actions and words are slightly unclear, people will naturally try to interpret them. But human nature works against them. People tend to believe what they want to believe. They prefer simple explanations. And once an idea forms in their mind, they rarely challenge it. This makes people surprisingly easy to mislead. Greene argues that people often want to be misled. All you have to do is place the right idea in front of them, dangle the bait, and many people will accept it at face value. One clever strategy is to talk openly about your goals and desires, just not your real ones. When you do this, 3 things happen. First, you appear open and trusting. Second, your true intentions remain hidden. And third, your rivals waste their time chasing the wrong objective. They defend against the wrong threat. They prepare for the wrong move. And while they are distracted, you quietly move towards your real objective. Greene also reminds us that patterns are powerful. People expect consistency. They expect predictable behavior. But when you occasionally break those patterns, you create confusion. And confusion buys you time. Time to move and time to build. Time to position yourself before anyone understands what is happening. The most successful strategists in history were not always the strongest, but they were often the hardest to read. Their opponents believed that they understood the game until they suddenly realized that they had been watching the wrong board the entire time. Move quietly, reveal little, and let your real intentions become visible only when it is far too late for anyone to stop them. That is Law 3, Conceal Your Intentions.